Hello, everyone, and welcome to my presentation on Alexander H. Stephens and his role in the Civil War. Now, this presentation is only going to be focusing on two significant dissertations that I did a little bit of research on here. Now, the first dissertation is entitled Alexander H. Stephens' Concept of the Confederacy. It was written by Edward Lawrence Cashin, and unfortunately, the abstract is not available. So, what's interesting here is the title is quite specific. We're speaking about Stephens, the vice president of the Confederacy, and what he viewed the concept of it to be. What he believed were the ideals of the Confederacy. Now, sources and methodology used for this dissertation, obviously primary sources, including letters, diaries, and historical records, many coming from Emory University, were used. It had a rigorous methodology, and it was a very accurate and well-researched account. Very well done on this dissertation. Now, let's get into the content a little more. The content really is covering Stephens. The chapters cover Stephens' concerns and opposition to habeas corpus in particular. Now, that's important to know because habeas corpus was put into place by Jefferson Davis, and Stephens was simply against them and his views on military strategy, and he had a large role in peace negotiations. Stephens fundamentally believed that if the Confederacy just went back to the original American Constitution and stayed true to that, possibly not even drafting their own, just staying to the true American Constitution, that the international community would see what was going on and support the Confederacy. So he was really for peace. Now, this obviously caused some tension between Mr. Jefferson Davis and Alexander Stephens. Stephens had an unwavering commitment to constitutional liberties, as was mentioned earlier. Now, so much so that he was willing to go back to the Union Constitution for the Confederacy. This obviously would deepen the divisions within the Confederate leadership. Now, let's move on to the second dissertation, and this dissertation is titled The Public Career of Alexander Stephens, and it was written by Mr. Anthony Cushing. Now, unfortunately, the abstract for this article was also not available. Now, let's go into the sources and methodology. The sources were found mainly through Emory's University collections, the Library of Congress collection, and the Manhattanville College collection. What was interesting about this article, this dissertation as well, is the fact that the author actually interviewed people from Stephens' bloodline. So Stephens didn't have any children himself. However, his brother did, and this was his brother's like grandson or great grandson. I don't entirely recall, but he was able to have an interview with him to speak about Alexander Stephens and his public life. Now let's get into the content. The chapters cover Stephens' early years, his political career, and his role in the Confederacy. And interestingly enough, it also highlights disagreements with Jefferson Davis. The conclusions are as follows. Alexander Stephens, and anyone who studies him really knows this, is that he was a very complex figure. He's really hard to pin down ideologically, right? So he was a complex figure and he was dedicated to the Constitution and states' rights. His disagreements with Davis, this dissertation concludes, is fundamentally because Stephens believed that Davis misunderstood the people of the South and their desires. Now, in summary, these two dissertations offer valuable insights into Alexander H. Stephens, a complex and influential figure in American history. They provide context, sources, and analysis that enrich our understanding of him and of the Civil War era in general. And here are my references page. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to reading your responses. Till next time.